Welcome to SST College of Arts and Commerce. I am Assistant Professor Varsha Sawlani. You all are watching SST Edupedia. This session is regarding the discussion of the syllabus of MCOM Part 1 Sem 2. The subject name is Research Methodology for Business. So research methodology for business, this is the subject which is in Sem 2 of MCOM in accountancy. So why this subject is there in MCOM Sem 2? Because the students should know what exactly the research is, because in every organization research plays an utmost important role for innovation, modification, introducing new product, etc. And even the students has to do the project work in MCOM Part 2 in both the semester, Sem 3 as well as in Sem 4. So before going for practical doing of the research, they should know the theoretical concepts, what exactly the term hypothesis means, how to collect the data, which are the sources of collecting the data, which are the various sources are available for analyzing the data, data analysis, how to test the hypothesis, testing of hypothesis, what exactly the sample means. These are the basic concepts which the students should know. That is why this subject is there in theoretical way in Sem 2 Part 1, because in Part 2, Sem 3 and 4 they need to do the research which is related to accounting and finance. So here the students will understand how research plays an important role in business organizations. So University of Mumbai has given these 4 units or 4 modules of research methodology, that is module number 1, Introduction to Research, module number 2, Research as a Process, module 3, Data Processing and Statistical Analysis, and module 4, Research Reporting and Modern Practices in Research. So this is the entire syllabus of MCOM Part 1 Sem 2 Research Methodology for Business. Let's see what exactly the students will learn in this unit, that is Part 1, Unit 1, Introduction to Research. In Introduction to Research, the students will come to know the features and importance of research in business organization, objectives of research, types of research. Now there are the various types of research, broadly 5 to 6 types are there: basic research, applied research, descriptive research, analytical research, empirical research, one-time research, periodical research, experimental research, field research, many types. So the researchers or the students, those who will do the research, they should decide which type of research they will do in their project work. Next is how to formulate the research problem. The very important thing, the students are so much confused which topic they need to do the research. What is their area of interest? What exactly the companies or the current scenario, the current market is facing the problem. So to solve that problem, to solve the queries of the society or of the companies, the researchers can do the research on that trending or latest topic. So how to formulate the research problem, because it is said that once the researcher know what exactly the problem is, it is half solved. Even when we are going to a doctor, if we are suffering from a fever or we are suffering from any other type of problem, what the doctor says, go for the diagnosis. So in diagnosis we come to know where exactly the problem is in our body, in our system. Likewise, the researcher, before starting the research, they need to frame the problem statement, they need to formulate the problem statement. Once the problem statement has been formalized, once the problem statement has been framed, now it's time to make a plan, to go for the research design. Research design is nothing but the blueprint, the plan. Like when the builders are building the complex Before actually building the complex, they are making the blueprint. How many wings should be there? Where should be the parking area? Where should be the temple? Where should be the swimming pools, etc. So they are deciding what things should be where. So likewise, the researcher, before starting the research work, they need to plan for the research. Planning of research is nothing but research design. And the students will learn the importance of significance of review of literature. The review of literature is utmost important role it plays because the students will come to know the gap, where the gap arises and the opportunity comes, and they can define the problem and do the research on the same. So how the previous authors has done the research, which problem they have faced, likewise they will plan for the research. So very important, the researcher before starting the actual research work, they should do the review of the literature. Next, the students will learn in this unit how to formulate the hypothesis. Broadly, there are two types of hypothesis, null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. Null hypothesis is represented as H0 and alternate hypothesis is represented as H1. One is a positive statement, another one is a negative statement. So, every researcher frame this statement accordingly so that they can reject the null hypothesis and accept the alternate hypothesis. यानी हर एक researcher H0 को reject करना चाहता है और H1 को accept करना चाहता है. तो कैसे formulate करना है hypothesis, क्या क्या sources हैं hypothesis के, क्या क्या types हैं hypothesis के, ये इस unit में सीखने वाले हैं हम लोग. And fourth is sampling. Sampling is nothing but from whom we are going to do the survey. Who will be our respondent? What will be their age, gender, qualification, geographical location, etc. So in sampling, we need to decide the methods of sampling. The researcher first plan how they will decide the sample. Sampling are of two types, probability sampling and non-probability sampling. Based on the requirement, based on the feasibility of the researcher decides the sample as well as the sample size. So all these topics the students will learn in this unit 1. Introduction to research, types of research, review of literature, research design, hypothesis, sampling, etc. Unit 1. Talking about Unit 2, research as a process. Research को एक scientific approach भी कहा जाता है. ऐसा नहीं कोई भी चीज कभी कर लिया. There is a sequence, there is a stages, there is a step by step the researcher need to plan. Like number 1, formulate the research problem. Frame the objectives. Then formulate the hypothesis. Make research design, frame the sampling, framing of the questionnaires, data collection, then data analysis, or before that even data processing, data analysis, interpretation, hypothesis testing and formulation of the research report. These all are 12 to 13 points are involved in the research as a process. Then the students will learn what are the types of data collection. Broadly, there are the two types of data collection, primary and secondary. Primary is also called it as first-hand information, which researchers themselves collect the data with the help of survey, with the help of interview, with the help of questionnaire. They themselves collect the data from their respondents. That is called primary data. Secondary data is the data which has already been published in some or the other books, magazines, bulletins, newspaper articles, brochures, paid journals, etc. So if the researchers are using that data, that is called secondary data. Many times the government publishes n number of reports related to census, related to employment, related to poverty, related to small scale industries. So researchers can use that data also for having the facts and figures, for giving the justice to their research work. So if they are referring that, they need to mention the sources, they need to mention in the references and bibliography. So that is the secondary data, and secondary data also plays an important role in the research work. Next is which are the ways of collecting the data, like we have said questionnaire. So there are the two types of questionnaire, open-ended, close-ended. Close-ended में कई सारे ways हैं, like MCQs, multiple choice question, dichotomous, that is two-way, yes, no, cash, credit, married, unmarried, etc., male, female, etc. Then there are the questions like checklist. N number of options is given, the respondent can tick the multiple answers, the checklist. So rating scales. तो ये सारे particular ways कि किस तरीके से questionnaire बनाना है. And nowadays the researchers are making the questionnaire that is close-ended, where they need to just tick and give the responses rather than writing in the open-ended. The third unit is data processing and statistical analysis. Once the data has been collected, the researcher need not to present as it is. The researcher need to go for the processing. And for processing the data, it involves 5 stages or 5 steps. Number 1, editing. The data which we have collected, we need to edit that data. Maybe field editing or central editing. Second is coding. We need to convert that data into a codes, into a numbers, alphabets or alphanumerics, etc. Like in vehicles, the government, how the government should come to know how many number of vehicles has been sold in a specific geographical area with the help of numbers. So likewise, the researcher is collecting the data from so many respondents, from say for example 1000 respondents. So they need to convert that data into a codes. Then after coding, classification, that is grouping the data, converting into a tabulation, that is converts into a rows and columns, and graphical presentation. This is how the data processing is being done. 5 steps: editing, coding, classification, tabulation and graphical presentation. The researcher need to do the data processing. After processing the data, the next step comes statistical analysis, or we can say data analysis. For analyzing the data, the researchers are using various tools such as mean, median, mode, which comes under the measures of central tendency. Then measures of dispersion, standard deviation, regression, correlation. These are the various tools which researchers are using for analyzing the data. And these tools the researchers are using with the help of software. That software is called SPSS, Statistical Package for Social Science. And there are the other softwares also which the companies are using for analyzing the data. Once the data has been analyzed, the next step is testing the hypothesis. The hypothesis which we have framed, null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis, now which is to be rejected, which is to be accepted, it comes under this testing of hypothesis. For testing of hypothesis, broadly there are the 2 ways, parametric test and non-parametric test. In parametric test, there are the t-test, z-test, f-test. T-test is being used when the sample size is less than 30. Z-test is used when the sample size is more than 30. And F-test we can use irrespective of the sample size. So these are the testing which is parametric test. Then non-parametric test, which many of the researchers are using, such as chi-square test, ANOVA, analysis of variance, factor analysis, and many experts have given various non-parametric tests like a KS test, Mann-Whitney test. Many experts have given a non-parametric test also. The researchers need to decide how to go for the testing of hypothesis. Once that is also done, the last step is interpretation. Now it's time to convert that all the analysis, all the testing of hypothesis into a interpretation, into a simpler way what we can conclude, conclusion, findings, suggestions, etc. So this is all the students will learn in this unit 3, that is data processing and statistical analysis. The fourth unit, research reporting. Everything is done. Now we need to put a report. We need to make a report. There are the 3 types of research. Corporate research, which we need to present to the higher authorities, the top level management. Academic research, which we need to present to the university. And social research, which we need to present to the sponsored agencies. So as per the higher authorities, as per the university, as per the sponsored agencies, the researchers need to make the research report. So research reporting kaise karna hai? Like University of Mumbai says that the students should present their research in the black book, golden embossing. So while you will go to the second year MCom part 2, Sem 3 and 4, you need to make the project work which should be compiled in a black book binding, golden embossing. So bounded copy hona chahiye. ऐसा यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ मुंबई कहता है. सो एवरी अथॉरिटीज हैज अ डिफरेंट वेज ऑफ saying the researchers how they need to make the report. And the second part of this unit is modern practices in research, which includes like how to make the bibliography. There are the 3 styles of writing the bibliography. One is APA, American Psychological Association. Another one is CMA, Chicago Manual Style, and third one is MLA, Modern Language Association. These are the 3 styles of writing the bibliography. Nowadays, many of the researchers are using AMA, American Psychological Association. That is name of the author, name of the book, on which page number, which year of publication, everything in detail we need to mention in the bibliography, which references we have used in our research report. And footnotes also plays an important role. That is, on each and every page, if we have mentioned certain charts, figures, facts, so we need to write it down on that page itself as a footnote. And the other modern practices like ethics in research. We need not to theft the information. If we are taking the others' information on our name, the plagiarism come into a picture. Plagiarism bhi kaha jata hai? Plagiarism. Many of the university has the rules, just 10% plagiarism is allowed nowadays. We can take the others' information in our research report 10%, and that 10% also we need to mention in the references bibliography footnote. Otherwise, we are not supposed to take others' content, others' information in our research report. So, plagiarism comes into a picture. 10% plagiarism is allowed in many of the universities. And what is the role of computers in research? Like I said earlier also, the companies are using SPSS model. Being a student, there are the certain formulas are there already in Excel. So you can use for analyzing the data as an Excel tool also, Microsoft Excel. So this is entire 4 modules are there in this subject. The subject title is Research Methodology for Business. Okay. You can refer these books like C.R. Kothari, which is a good reference book for this subject. Then Business Research Methodology by Srivastav and other authors of Hill Education publication. And you can use the research methodology in accounting and financial management. These are the references book which the students, those who are doing from the Mumbai University MCom in accounts, they can use these references book. Thank you for watching.